I am honored, but also a little humbled to be in this room. Like, you guys are an incredibly impressive, intimidating group. And so I'm thrilled to be here with you today talking about girl power. I loved our introduction. That was so awesome. What we're going to do is lead a conversation that's going to be very loose and casual as you can be when you're holding a microphone and your voice is amplified to fill up an entire auditorium of people who've just eaten delicious hamburgers and French fries. I was the editor of 17 magazine for almost 8 years, and before that I was on the launch team of Cosmo Girl magazine. And I've had this incredible long window of the way in which sort of young women have been and felt powerful in the world. And I want to be like completely candid that you guys have the most amazing opportunity that I have ever seen in the entire world. In the entire world in the last 15 years. And there have been so many ebbs and flows about what's important to young women. It used to be sort of back in the day that when we talked about leadership and power and influence for young women in the world, we really only meant the top of the class. The girls who, you heard Melissa this morning say that she was like, ooh, 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 me. That we used to really just mean leadership was for those girls. And then we had a period of time where nobody really wanted to be a leader. It was sort of a bad word. You didn't want to say leadership. Everybody wanted to sort of be part of the crew, and we were having a really great time in the world, and so we were all like, don't push us, we'll get there. But what has happened in just the last couple years has been a really seismic world shift about young women and power. And you, this generation of young women, you are poised to be more powerful and more influential than any generation that I have ever seen come before you. And it's not just the girl who's sitting at the front of the class raising her arm, begging to be called on. This is really a revolution of every girl who wants to feel powerful in the world. And I need like 30 more seconds to explain to you what I mean. This idea that you can start a business on Etsy, that you can brand yourself on Twitter, you can become a fashion star on Instagram, you can become a beauty guru on YouTube, that you can find your tribe and find people who support you no matter where you are. Those tools, this phone that you have in your hand right here, this is what makes you powerful. It's a tool that you own. It's a language that you created, and it is the thing that when you get out of college and you have your first job, it's the thing that you're going to know how to do better than anybody in the room who's been in business for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and you're going to be the person who's going to be the one in demand. Everybody, all young women are having this amazing moment. And so what I wanted to talk about today was how it feels to have this new kind of power, because I think it's different than what we've talked about before. We just had this amazing conversation upstairs that I hope we can duplicate for you, because we had a total meeting of the minds, and there was some Beyonce also. And so I'm going to turn to Annie first and talk about what does it mean to be powerful to you, and what does it feel like? When did you first feel like you're like, damn, I am powerful?
Sure. So, as was mentioned in my very lovely bio, I took a gap year in Brazil, and the premise was going and learning and being of service, but also changing your own life. And I think with anyone's first really deep experience with service or just being in a very different environment, it's very much more transformative, and you get to understand, I am not an empty vessel. I carry my own baggage, I have my own background, and the best way to go about being like a change maker is to understand the people around me, get to know them, understand them, and then maybe create those coalitions and create relationships. So from there, I went on to college, and I took my first women's studies class, which was gender and violence, and I came out of that class thinking, there's stuff going on in the world that I'm not happy about, and I'm pissed off, and I can totally do something about it. And so can all these wonderful ladies all around me. So getting a grip on what's happening, how can I understand this better, and what am I specifically poised to do?
And we talked about this briefly. Thandwe brought this up as an important point, that a lot of being powerful in the world is helping other, particularly women.
Yeah, I feel that I gain a lot of my power from helping others and empowering other people. Just knowing that you can make a difference in someone else's life makes you feel powerful, and I think that is super, super amazing.
Can you just tell everybody what you told me about how you came across Girl Up the first time?
Yeah, I was on Beyonce's blog, and I scrolled down and I saw the little logo and I clicked on it because it looked really cool, and I saw the site and I was like, this is amazing. I loved everything they were about, and I just really wanted to be involved in that.
Yay, Beyonce.
Yay, Beyonce.
And tell us a little bit about what your Girl Up group does. Like, you were telling me upstairs about how it felt.
Yeah, my Girl Up Club, I feel, is really important because we work with a lot of marginalized girls, and I feel that they feel powerful because they get to help other girls, because they might not have the funds to give someone else, and they might feel bad about that, or they feel less than other people who can do that, but they coming and learning and be able to share information that can save their friend's life or can make them have a better life just with the information that they give to them. I feel that makes them feel powerful, that they can in fact make a difference in someone else's life just by talking to them.
It's like a recognition of your own personal power when you feel, even if you feel kind of unempowered in your life, that if you can help someone else, that amplifies your own feelings. Is that, Annie, tell us about about your gap year and about how you experienced that.
Sure. So I'm sure many of you can relate to this when you go into a situation you think you're going to be of use or of help, and you realize, I am not about to pull off all the cool things I thought I was about to pull off. And that can be tremendously discouraging, and feeling like, who am I? What am I able to do? But when you start to forge those little connections and looking around and seeing, you know what, I'm seeing some stuff here, I'm recognizing some issues, and there may be people working on this, there may be people who are aware also, and you might change one person's life, and you start to feel better. You start to feel like, you know what, I'm worth it, I can do these things, I am smart, and I'm willing, and I'm compassionate, and you just got to start telling yourself that, and soon you will be surprised with the difference you can make around you.
You know, you said just what you said about feeling like you're never going to be able to achieve everything you want to achieve, that there's this massive problem out there that you want to solve. From my own personal feelings, one of the things that I identified when I was your age was that I wanted to do whatever I could to make young women, understand that their lives could be amazing. And here I am, it's probably been 30 years since I had that feeling, and I don't think I even knew what that meant, right? I was in high school, I was like, whatever, I want my girls to be the best they can be. But here I am 30 years later, and I'm working on different nuggets and pieces of this big, gigantic pie, and I feel like it's a journey, a mission that never has to end, and that you don't have to you're not going to solve whatever problem it is in a year, right. But that the journey is long, life is long, and you've got this tremendous opportunity to tackle a problem from every angle. Let's talk about, I don't know, what else should we talk about? We had a great conversation upstairs about gender and feminist theory. Annie started this conversation. I'll let her spark the conversation.
So I was talking to Anne, and I was saying, I wish I could just get a chance, if I could, to give a little nugget of advice, which is study your stuff, know what's going on, and be very informed. So feminist theory and academia can get a bad rap, but it's truly wonderful. And there's a theorist out there named Bell Hooks who has called it a liberatory practice and can help you explain what is going on around you. Sometimes you can feel, or I can feel, so bewildered about what is going on, and I just can't get a grip. And there are people who are writing about it, there are people who are sympathizing, and it can be creative, it can be theory, it can be anything. But I would ask that you all give it a shot. But just generally reading and being informed and knowing what's around you, because women can be made to feel that they don't have a voice in the room, that they know less, that their contributions are less important, and knowing your stuff and being very well informed can be a big help in letting people know that you are not to be messed with.
But also to understand the history, right? To understand
Absolutely.
to understand all of the forces that brought us to this moment in time right now.
Definitely.
One of the things that I was saying as we were having this conversation was that in my 15 years in young women's magazines, it wasn't until last year that we actually used the word feminist in print. And I think it's in large part thanks to Beyonce, right? Her big moment a couple of years ago that we all talked about when she was at the MTV Video, I think it was Video Music Awards, and she went on stage in front of the gigantic feminist. Can I have nods? Like, yes, you know this moment I'm talking about. And I think that was part of the drum roll towards being accepting of this word feminism and part of that, and that we need the kind of theory and the kind of academic exploration in order to have Beyonce standing on stage and to have it be a pop culture moment. I was saying that there are a lot of writers that I follow now who call themselves feminist writers, and that would not have happened. I know you guys are like, yeah, of course, everybody, my feminist friends. It's crazy, but like we didn't use that turn of phrase when I was starting in magazines. We just didn't. We talked about the things that make you feminist, but we didn't use that word. And I think the idea of sort of rallying around that idea and rallying around the academic pursuits and Beyonce, of course, is really a fantastic idea and a real expression of girl power, what we talked about in the world. How would that go over, Thandwe, with your girls?
I think that it's super important to know your theory. It helps you a lot. You can talk about it, you can sort through it, and it's also a bonding experience. So like you talk about it, you debate. I don't think girls are like encouraged to debate, but with this, you could like talk about it in your own little like way. You could feel powerful in that you know something, and you can talk about it with people and not be scared, and it builds your confidence. You practice, you talk about it, and that's a very, it might seem minute, but especially where I'm from, girls aren't encouraged to talk. So if they've read it, they're confident in the information, then they're confident to talk about it openly.
Is there a moment that you can point to that you felt most powerful?
I think it was recently I hosted the Girl Power, Girl Up leadership conference in my hometown in Belize. And I saw the girls enjoying all the speakers, and it made me feel so good. I was just like standing in the back, and particularly a lady from a television station, they were so excited, and she led them in like confident exercises, and they were so excited. I saw them bloom right before my eyes, and it made me feel so amazing. And that's something I really want to feel again.
That's amazing. Do you see among the young women in your group a change as they come in and learn to debate and even to feel part of like the group?
Yeah, I definitely see that. We started with like 8 members, and the core members, we see like when they first came, they couldn't even like say their name. Like they were so shy and ashamed. They wouldn't like stand up and say their name. And now they like raise their hands and like tell you what they think of this, and like tell you that they don't think what you're saying is right. And like they talk about it, and like we come to meetings, and they're so happy, and like they talk to each other, they stand up, they participate, they give suggestions.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it feels so amazing to see.
Can you, if you were to have a girl power wish for where they take that feeling that they have in that room and express it in the world, what would that girl power wish be?
I'd wish that even if they're like confident in this room, that they'll be able to take it outside, like stand up at your moment when you're most scared and it's something really important, like use that confidence then. Use your voice. Don't be afraid to stand up for what's right for you and for what you believe in.
And how do you let them know that? Because that's so, like, it's amazing to feel it when you're with your girls and there's power in the room and you're like, you're all high-fiving and you're like getting the vibe. But like when you're in a situation, how do you, like, is there something we can all do, something I need to do also about drawing on that inner strength, that inner power?
I think just thinking about yourself and what you need. I think as women and girls, we aren't encouraged to do that. But if you think about, well, I need this because, and I think it makes you feel sort of fierce, like I need this. And for whatever reason you have, I think you could draw sort of strength from that, just thinking about yourself. And in that way, you also think about what it can do for others, because you're not just you help other people when you help yourself. And I think that's something that you could draw off of when you need that confidence.
You have to prove it to yourself in little ways every day.
Yeah.
So that when the big moment comes and you need to really dig down deep inside.
And also like tools. So like you aren't just gonna say like, oh, be confident. You've got to like work and like know you are worth it and work on confidence skills and all that. So
know
it's
you
a
are
whole
worth
process.
it. That is so important. Know you are worth it every day. Annie, is there something that you can imagine from this point in your life that you want to see expressed in the world for young women in power?
There are so many issues that target women and underprivileged people specifically in a big way. And I would love to see those tackled by women and women taking credit for it. Because a lot of the times there are many coalitions of women working on huge things because they're in their communities, they're noticing it, and then someone else gets the credit.
Someone else gets the credit, or we are more likely to say, oh, that's nothing, or
It's that.
I really did it in service of someone else, which is true.
That's true. That's true. That's part of it, definitely. But also, when efforts are want to be recognized, we are likely to pick out a single figure, and it's important to make sure that we know that we're all getting the credit, we're all working on it, and it's okay to be pushy.
Yeah, I think taking the credit and acknowledging you did something badass in the world, right? When you've done something badass is totally an important piece of feeling your power. Well, I'm getting the hook over here with I'm getting my countdown clock happening over just to my left. I just want to leave you guys with this, with like my one sort of dream for you in the future is that I can see that you are all part of a revolution that is happening in the world for young women about being strong in business and philanthropy and making your mark on the world in such a significant way. And I think that sometimes when you're just one girl, it's really hard to see that you're part of this bigger machine. But from where I sit, in my perspective, I am watching something major happen in the world, and you guys are driving it forward, and I am honored to be living in the world that you are making. So thank you all for your power. Thank you.